podcast about something where each week we dive deep into whatever it is we find interesting. I'm your host, Calvin, and joining me from Diagon Alley, it's your co-host, Nick Richardson.
Hey, you trying to buy this Pensieve thing?
Yeah, I would love a Pensieve.
It's a shallow bowl type, multiple uses, but mostly, I mean, it's got this really tight one.
You could take a shit in it if you wanted to, but
Okay.
It's a really bad idea.
Yeah, it's shallow, so I mean, just keep that in mind, whatever.
There would be some major splashback.
Yeah, you're getting touched by it. Just bear with me.
So Nick is in Diagon Alley, not diagonally, Diagon Alley, and he is selling his wares, Pensieve to be precise, because that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Wizarding World, Harry Potter. What is a Pensieve? How does it work? Where does it go? Where did it come from? And how is it important to the story and life in general?
It's more of an obscure thing for sure.
It definitely is.
It's definitely not flying broomsticks or anything like that, but it might have one of the best like real world connotations I've seen in Harry Potter, at least. That would be useful like in modern day life, like a practical thing.
Absolutely. There are a lot of ways that it could be used, and we will get to that. But first, let's talk about what is a Pensieve or the Pensieve.
So it's a shallow bowl, all right?
We've covered that, yep.
Well, basically, it's
this bowl, and it's really shallow.
Right.
And,
it can be made of metal or stone, and it has several, Celtic runes around it, and it's to store some
I think they're
memories.
magical runes.
Right. They're very rare, but they're used to store and organize, I would imagine. There's got to be some kind of system, or it'd just be anarchy.
Yeah, that's kind of the point I'm interested to get to, is like when we start talking about the memories and how it holds everything. Like, I want to explore that and theorize, because there's not a lot. I was surprised to find that there's not a lot on the Pensieve.
There really is not. Like I said, more obscure.
As I've learned more about the Harry Potter world, and like we did Star Wars month last year, every little thing in Star Wars has this huge, rich backstory that you could go for days looking at.
Like literal
Harry Potter
things.
is not that way. There are very specific things that have these huge, rich backstories, and then other things that are like, now we're going to let you wonder about how that was created and who made it. And the Pensieve is one of those.
Right. J.K. Rowling did not go full-blown George R.R. Martin.
No, absolutely
She didn't go that far.
It is still interesting. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about regardless. It's like you said, it's a magical bowl, usually, shallow bowl, used to store and review memories. It's filled with a silvery substance that appears to be cloudy, like a cloudy liquid or gas. These are the collected memories of people who have siphoned their memories into it. And like you said, very rare. Due to the highly personal nature of memories, most Pensieves are entombed with their owners. So if somebody dies, they're like, I don't want people to see what I did in my past. I was fucked up in the 20s.
For real.
Bury me with this shit.
I mean, yeah. I wouldn't want
That's
to,
fair.
like, watch my ancestors' memories. It's like, oh, God. Ooh, good.
Well, I feel like if you know you're about to die and you're going to leave your pen, because that's the other thing. Some wizards will pass on their Pensieve to their loved ones. And if you're going to do that, I feel like you'd really have to curate those memories. Like, you'd have to take your time, a year before you're going to die, and just start like, okay, no, can't have these years just out of Hogwarts sowing my wild oats. McGonagall's, whorish days after she got out of Hogwarts. We don't want to see that if we're her children.
I don't know.
Not if you're her child. I might.
Well,
see
yeah,
it,
there's that. As a third party.
McG could throw down. I'll guarantee you that.
You're damn right.
A good example of ones that are passed down is the Hogwarts Pensieve that we see
Yes.
Dumbledore, Snape, Harry use. I think, if you can curate those memories, I'm of the mind that it's a really cool way to leave something to your family. If you're just like, boom, here's my whole life, that's not cool. People don't want to see all that necessarily.
It's pretty boring at times.
But like, could you just imagine having access to like your parents or your wife's, very curated memories after they died of like how certain moments in your life that you saw one way always, maybe they saw a different way, or how it felt. You can be this third person objective viewer of how they remember something.
I mean, that would be
I think
amazing.
that would be cool.
Like, it would be, if you could, like you said, curate it, it would be stunning. Like, it would be something that would be invaluable. Like, there's nothing you could really do to put a price on that. But at the same time, I'm an asshole. I'd probably spend a good chunk of that last year curating some like fake murder mystery or some shit, and
Or
just
just just
make it
load it
super
with "I
fun.
told you so's."
Oh,
Like, I didn't want to have these arguments when I was alive, so boom, here's all the proof that I was right for the last 80 fucking years.
and just like the last
Wizards
year,
live a
the
long time.
memories is you standing in a mirror. You did this today, and I was right. Repeatedly. And then, the end of it's the sweet memories, the stuff that really matters.
Yeah, bring it all back together at the end. Be like, yeah, but I loved you. See?
It's, oh shucks. But I mean, one thing I did find was the way Dumbledore explained it, which I thought was pretty spectacular. He says the Pensieve, one simply siphons the excess thoughts from one's mind, pours them into a basin, and examines them at one's leisure. It becomes easier to spot patterns and links, you understand, when they are in this form. So, I mean, that's simplified. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gives you this third person view of the memories rather than, and from what I read, it's a copy of what actually happened, not how you remember it, which is important because then you can view, like, you can go back and say, okay, was I wrong about this
Right,
thing?
objectively.
And have proof of it. And that would be a really cool thing to do with your own, but also with a loved one's memories of you get to see, like, oh shit, maybe I was an asshole in that situation, or it gives you more perspective on how they think and feel to see things from their eyes. Even though it's an objective view, you're still viewing it through their perception, I guess is a good way to say it.
Well, no, just the unbiased situation. Right. But at least you have the unbiased situation. Because, I mean, when you're viewing it from first person in the moment, you're obviously biased to your point.
Exactly.
So when you can look at it from an outside view, like most of the time, I think as you can understand this as someone who's married and in a relationship and, you spend a lot of time with your significant other, sometimes you bicker a little bit at each other.
Never.
Oh, yeah.
You bicker?
Dude. Yeah. I am a human being.
Every moment of our life is pure bliss.
You are so lucky, but
okay, honey, turn the podcast off now. Don't listen anymore.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, it's something that, sometimes I bicker with my wife, and I don't want to admit that I was being the butthead, even though I know I was being the butthead. God, this would be so nice. Because then I wouldn't have to have her tell me I was being a butthead. I could just look at it. And then, you
just go back and say you're sorry. And it works the other way, too. When they're being the butthead, they can look at it and come back and be like, oh, shit, I was a butthead.
Right. And I mean, that way, your significant other doesn't have to hear it, so then you're not like, yeah, you kind of fucking were.
I think it would significantly cut down on arguments or like bickering like that, because a lot of bickering comes from misunderstandings or like half-heard things. So like you're saying something and your wife or really anyone is not fully listening to the whole thing, or they're saying something to you and you're not fully listening, and they go on, and then you're just like, yeah, I got it, but you didn't get what they said. Yeah. So then it creates this bigger argument out of something that was so simple that, like, I think that wouldn't happen if you're just like, if one of you says, no, I said this, the other one's not going to go, no, I heard this. You're just going to go, let's go check the tapes.
Yeah. I could see that going in an,
get your John Madden teleprompter on.
That would be fucking hilarious if it had like an add-on or some shit that it's like John Madden or Mike Tyson narrating it. Yo, you could customize it.
She walks in the room and then boom, she says, go do the dishes. And you say, boom, I'll clean the toilets when I feel like it.
And then boom, you see this right here?
Boom. And then boom, you were the asshole the whole time.
Unbelievable.
He could go all the way to sleeping on the couch because he was an asshole. All right, so that's our next invention, the John Madden Pensieve.
For real, or I like the Mike Tyson. Man, you really was being an asshole, man.
I see where you're coming from here, but really, you were wrong the whole time.
You deserve to have your ear bitten off because you was an asshole.
You're gonna be sleeping on the couch with a tiger tonight.
With a tiger, he bites. Yo, dude, but that
great idea,
bro. Holler at us, Google, Apple,
Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
For real, Disney. I will work for you from home.
Yeah,
because I don't play that shit. But I mean, I can see this going the wrong way too. You know how some couples just devolve into like texting each other shitty things?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, I'm not going to say I'm even mad. I'm not even going to act mad. But he better check that pensive, or she better check that pensive and learn why I'm mad.
Yeah, but see, I just think that the madness would stop because like you wouldn't your arguments wouldn't escalate, right? You would just go check the tape. It's like instant replay in football. That's why I had the John Madden idea of there's never the question, did the ref get the call wrong? Was it actually a touchdown? No, we're going to review it and make sure. So that way everybody knows that the touchdown was a touchdown.
Got the
Like
hard
you're not
evidence.
gonna start bickering because you're gonna go, we can just go look at this.
Right.
Or you just start agreeing to things because you're like, well, I know she can go look at it. I might as well just take her side right now.
I keep thinking about. I could never be mad. Like if we were bickering at each other and we just went to review it through the pensive, and I heard John Madden hollering out at me, or like John Gruden, Booger McFarland.
No, we can't have Booger on there. That's a step too far.
We would both just start
Does he
getting
get his little
obscenely
sideline
pissed
cart?
at Booger. Like,
Yeah, that would definitely diffuse situations too. If you had Booger on there and you're just like, all right, we can't be mad at each other because this guy's a fucking moron.
And then it was unbelievable. You said my hands were small, even though I've been to China.
No, we don't want him either.
Extra hands installed. Extra.
Moving along now. See, you've taken it into a place I don't want to go with this. I don't want his voice in my face any more than I need it. So
I
the
just
name
wanted the
Pensieve
excuse to say China
is
like him. He says it like a dumb.
China.
China. And his mouth looks like a little fucking puckered asshole.
So the name Pensieve is a homonym for pensive. So the whole time we've been saying pensieve, that's wrong. It's pensive because it's a homonym for pensive, which means deeply, seriously thoughtful. But it's also a pun that the sieve part of the word is alluding to the object's function of sorting meanings from the mass of thoughts or memories. So there you go. There's the etymology, if you will, of pensive. Just to move on where Nick was from where Nick was going because I didn't like that train of thought. Pensives are rare because only the most advanced wizards ever use them, and because the majority of wizard kind is afraid of doing so.
That's interesting.
So there's that. We don't know who it was created by, or when the first one was created, or how it was created. Again, not a lot of fake history here. I was a little disappointed in that.
You figured someone would have came up with something off the top of their head. And she would have
I'm
been
sure
like, yeah,
there's a vast fan fiction world of Pensieve origin stories, but I want the canon, real J.K. Rowling, give me something here version.
Just gonna come out of retirement, HP retirement, and pen this just for you.
I'm okay with it. In the third Fantastic Beasts movie, throw it in there.
It just
I'm
stops.
okay with it. Give me all of the backstory on everything. I'm here for it. I don't care that some of it's weird, like wizards just randomly shitting wherever they are and cleaning it up with a vanishing spell. I'm good with it. Give me as much as you want. Because, she says those things, like wizards just randomly shit just wherever they were.
It's so fucking weird, man. Are you serious?
Yeah, so it was the Pottermore Twitter handle tweeted this out that before, toilets were one of the technologies that humans created that was helpful to wizards. Usually it's the other way around. Wizards invent something and then humans co-opt it. This was the other way around. Humans invented the toilet and wizards co-opted it. And before the toilet existed, wizards would just shit and use a vanishing spell on the shit. And the way it was worded, it was like they just like were mid conversation and just boom, dropped a load on the stone. I feel like it's not that. Like I feel like they went off. There was probably still a room, a stall of some sort that they went to. They just like nobody's just like walking down the road shitting like they're a dog. I mean, maybe they were, but the way I took it when I first read it was. Sometimes you gotta explore the weirdness.
I just think it's fucking hilarious because I'm just picturing, like Ron Weasley or his dad staring you in the eye, just fucking unloading.
It's like the joke from Funny People that Seth Rogen tells, where he's like, on an airplane, anybody can do whatever they want. People just fart anytime they want, and like you can be talking to an old lady and just in the middle of her sentence, it's like that except actual shit instead of farts.
That's how a lot of
people.
They just like vanish it from the threads of their.
Well, because they wore robes
all the time.
They wore robes, very flowing, no underwear. Just, I took that meaning as like they went somewhere and did it and vanished it, not like they're just like McGee and Dumbledore sitting there like, hey, what's up? Yep. I don't feel like that was happening.
Probably not, but I'm still just amazed that they have like
That's for some reason that's where the fandom took it.
Right, like come on now, let's get the Pensieve in this.
Yeah, we need a Pensieve of some old headmaster of Hogwarts. We need a memory of when he took a shit before toilets were invented. Can we get on that?
That's why he invented the Pensieve. Solved it.
Exactly.
He's like, I have to remember this shit.
His first time using the toilet, he put that memory in the Pensieve.
So he could show his bros. He's like, dude, check this shit out, man. Don't worry. I know it looks weird. It's a shallow bowl. Don't shit in it.
No.
You're gonna look at some stuff.
This is me shitting in a toilet. That's where the idea, because the toilet is also a shallow bowl. He's like, hey, I could use that to shit my memories into.
Damn.
I think we cracked the case.
We're writing
Wizard
the fanfic.
who discovered the first toilet also invented the Pensieve. They
While
are
he was
based
on the toilet.
100%. So they're based on old magic used by very powerful witches and wizards. Perhaps they create them themselves, the powerful witches and wizards. Like, instead of going and buying a Pensieve, like, you have to build it. Kind of like becoming an animagus. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. Just spitballing here.
That'd be more fascinating.
Again, they're usually entombed with the owner of the Pensieve.
It seems like it's kind of a deeply personal relationship with an inanimate object, but it's not an inanimate object at the same time. Like, it almost has a soul, if you will.
You can say the same thing about wands, though, because wands are a very intimate connection. You know, the wand
Right.
is part of your person, and somebody else builds and sells you that. So there's some gray area there. We need answers, JK.
You know, the wand chooses the wizard. So, I mean, maybe it's not necessarily, maybe it's just a bond you got to form, because memories are a deeply personal thing, and putting it in this cold stone shallow bowl, if you will, it's
don't shit in it.
Yeah, don't you fucking do it. That's going
T-shirt
in the description.
idea.
Yeah, it's a Pensieve. Don't shit.
It's a Pensieve with an X over it. Don't shit in it. A Pensieve with like a pile of shit, like the poop emoji in there. Big X across it.
And then
don't shit in the Pensieve.
Prison Mike off to the side, like. But yeah,
sure.
I mean, I think
anytime you can get Prison Mike in there, I'm good with it.
I mean, we got to have a crossover somehow. But I think it would require like that deeply personal connection to create this thing in the first place.
Yeah, you might have to, if the wizard who owns it is not actually creating it, if it's something you can buy, I think there would have to be some part of it that you have to kind of meld your memories with it. You know, like, it has to be able to accept your memories. So there maybe is a bit of extra magic there. So let's talk how it actually works. As you said so wonderfully before, one simply siphons the excess thoughts from one's mind, pours them into the basin, and examines them at one's leisure. That's Dumbledore, Albus, Percival, Wulfric, Brian, Dumbledore in Goblet of Fire said that.
But yo, Wulfric though, let's just.
I like Percival better than Wulfric, but Wulfric's tight too.
Yeah, that's fair.
We can all go to fuck Brian, right?
I mean, yeah. Duh.
There is a unknown incantation for the memory extraction spell, and in the movie and also in the books, it doesn't go into detail how they take them out. It just kind of shows them putting the wand up to their brainstem and just ripping that bad boy out. And Snape even cries. In the movie, he cries the final memory out, but I think in the book, he kind of like spills it onto the ground, most likely with his wand. So that, yeah, we don't know the incantation for getting the memory out, but it is a spell, and it's used to remove single specific memories from one's own mind and place them into the Pensieve, or you can place them in a flask or a vial for storage if they want to watch the memory later, or if they're just not at their Pensieve.
That is just so different. Like, that is so odd that it can take like basically a physical form and then the shape of this like gaseous thing. I wonder if it kind of comes back around to that deeply personal connection, since it's A, your memories, B, your wand extracting that, and yourself, it's pertaining to you. I can see where it requires a lot of extenuating circumstances to kind of be able to happen. I imagine you would have to focus on that pretty hard, otherwise you'd just be shitting weird memories out all over the place.
Yep, it all comes back to toilets here.
I was
When,
gonna
which
say
is,
crying it out or spitting it out with your wand or whatever, but it sounded better.
I know what wand you're talking about. I get you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. So a little more on the memory extraction spell. When witches and wizards who have memories that they either wish to see more than once or memories that they cannot stand to think about again, they remove it by placing the tip of their wand to their temple. Then they slowly pull the tip away and bring a long silver strand with it. For lack of a better term, witness Dumbledore and Snape both doing this in Harry Potter books. The witch or wizard would then take the removed memory and store it in a flask for storage, or for easy to reach, they put it straight into this Pensieve, or they would store it in a Pensieve to revisit the memory. Why did I repeat myself 7 times? I don't know. In the 1920s, MACUSA executioners, that is the magical governing body of the US of A, executioners would use the spell and cast the condemned prisoner's happiest memories into the death potion in the death cell to keep the inmate docile as they were lowered into the potion. And we see that in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Death potion and death cell are pretty hardcore.
I didn't watch those shit movies. I'm sorry.
I enjoyed them. So.
Were they enjoyable?
Again, give me everything you can. I'm here for it.
I'm going off popular opinion here.
Yeah, I'm all for learning more about these worlds that I enjoy. So the movies aren't perfect, but I like the new information that I get out of them.
That's fair.
Memories can be stored in vials or directly in a Pensieve. It seems like if too many memories are in the Pensieve at one time, it would be very hard to filter through. So like with Dumbledore, we see he's got this big cabinet full of vials, and it seems like he only puts one in at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have to be that way. Like it really, because I don't think we touched on it earlier about some kind of organization system, and obviously it's not going to be in a John Madden format. So,
Sadly.
I think individuality is probably the best way to go. But I'm also curious, if you store it in like a flask, do you just carry a Pensieve flask, or do you, does it contain runes? Like, I'm very fascinated by this because
I don't think the flask I think you can put it like in any
literally
container.
in
It just
anything,
has to be held. Yeah.
But how the fuck?
It just has to be airtight.
Contamination? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Can a memory get contaminated? It also, like, to me,
that's a great question.
If you look at, well, I mean, it can get contaminated if you contaminate it. We'll get into that. But like, if you're thinking somebody's going to steal your memory or they're going to snoop on your memories, kind of like Harry does with Snape, I would think that you'd want to keep most of your memories separate from the Pensieve. Because if Dumbledore dumps all his memories in the Pensieve and then Lucius Malfoy comes across it and sticks his face in it, like, boom, he's got everything Dumbledore knows now. He could see. But if he keeps them all separate and he steals the Pensieve, that doesn't do any good for him. Or he just steals the memories, but he doesn't have a Pensieve of his own. Again, doesn't do any good for him.
Right, he's got the bomb without the codes.
Right, or like I likened it to you back up your computer on an external hard drive. So if somebody steals your computer crashes, you still have all the important stuff somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
I just did that yesterday. Ironically.
So as we discussed, memories can be viewed from a non-participant third-party view. It creates a recreation of any memories placed into the Pensieve, allowing viewers to move around and examine memories. And again, it's a recreation of the event, not your personal first-party memory of it.
Right.
It's not how you perceived it, it's what actually happened.
It's incredibly valuable. So, like, when Harry got to see Barty Crouch Jr. fucking going bananas at that hearing, that was very valuable information. That solved the
because it was
riddle.
Real, right?
Right.
Some more powerful wizards can examine and sort through thoughts and ideas. Dumbledore's one that can do this. So to me, that seems like if there's a bunch of memories in a Pensieve and you dip your head in, most people are just going to be like thrown in at some random point, or like the last viewed point or the last entered point. But Dumbledore can like pick and choose which ones he wants.
Right. I imagine it's kind of, the most recent stuff is
the most recent, because if you think
easier.
About it, in 2 chapters, Snape's worst memory that Harry sees in Order of the Phoenix and The Prince's Tale in Deathly Hallows, those are the last things dumped in, and Harry goes straight in and sees them directly. He doesn't have to sift through anything. He just dumps it in and goes. So either there's nothing else in the Pensieve at those moments, or you just see whatever was last put in there.
Right. And I mean,
unless you're Dumbledore and can pick and choose.
Exactly. And I mean, it's not like he knew what was going to be there, so he couldn't really will it or whatever. He couldn't really search through the memories if there was multiple in there.
Right. So it's got to be one of those things. I'm leaning more towards they were empty until he put something in there, but I'd have to reread it to see. So in the first time Harry crosses the Pensieve in Goblet of Fire, it's to see that Karkaroff memory at the trial that you were talking about, where Barty Crouch Jr. went crazy. And that one, it seemed like Dumbledore set up specifically for Harry to stumble upon, because Dumbledore's a fucking maniac, and instead of just telling him about it,
he's like, not nice.
Yeah. So Harry sees the silver gleam and everything, and he's kind of drawn to that. And I'd need to reread both those chapters, Snape's Worst Memory and The Prince's Tale, to see if he sees that silvery gleam before he adds the memory, or if it's empty, or there's no description before he puts the memory in. That's interesting, because I don't remember.
We're kind of in, the nitty gritty there, but that's really the only way to get the answer.
Let us know. People who have read Harry Potter 600 times, let us know.
Yeah,
on Twitter, at APA something, at alone_podcast.
I'm very curious about those, actually.
So the Hogwarts Pensieve remains with the school, and headmasters and headmistresses leave behind life experiences and memories for future headmasters, headmistresses to view, and it builds a sort of library of references. And this I didn't know that. I thought that was Dumbledore's Pensieve, and he just lent it to Snape.
Well, I mean, it just seemed kind of natural for him to have something like that, but to have that be like a historical monument, basically, like each headmaster has to visit. I think that's super fucking fascinating. That's
really good, yeah. And it's a really good way to run a school.
That is the most incredible institutional knowledge ever. Because, I mean, Hogwarts, some of the best witches and wizards in the entire world came from there. So you'd think that, obviously, it's a pretty prestigious school, and if you could have all that information from a third-party perspective... I mean,
Victor Crumb came from Durmstrang, though, so...
But fuck that guy.
Gotta give them a shout-out, too.
I mean... But fuck that guy.
Well, and they have the paintings of all the headmasters that are around the headmaster's office, and those are painted towards the end of their life so they can imbue as many memories and personality into them as possible. And I thought kind of all this prior knowledge of the school came from those, but it seems like the Pensieve is another great source or resource, and that's cool that you have those two things working together, because the paintings are the headmasters and mistresses' personalities. So those, again, can be subjective.
Right, and I mean, yeah, that is fascinating.
But with the Pensieve, if you got, Phineas Nigellus up there telling you a story, and you're like, you know what, Phineas, I'm not sure, you're kind of full of shit here. Let me go check the tapes. John Madden will walk me through it. It's there.
Dude. Al Pacino. He'd be a good one, too. See, I'd be, if I was headmaster...
Only Any Given Sunday, Al Pacino. I need it to be like this
football...
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I need it football generated. Maybe it's just that I miss football. Football's coming back next week. I'm excited.
Ew.
I need something around football going into the Pensieve. I need football announcers there. Romo. Get Romo in there.
He'd predict all the memories for you.
Yeah. Romo and Madden together.
Pushed out and didn't beat the shit out of James Potter, and look at that.
But he called. I bet you right now, John, he's gonna call Lily a mudblood. It's coming. I know it. I can see it in his face. Boom. There it is. Told you.
You hear the mudblood in the background, and the character watching the Pensieve like, oh, god damn it.
Fucking Romo, man. Always gets it right.
Yeah, ESPN offered me $30 million a year, but I'm stuck here in this bullshit.
Doing the Pensieve play-by-play. Who thought of that? Yeah, I like the idea of having the direct access to the memories rather than trying to rely on the painting's personalities to give it to me straight.
Right, and I mean, obviously they're paintings, and like you said, they have the personalities of these individuals, which is not unbiased. So you could have, I'd be curious to know, like, the previous most prestigious headmaster at at Hogwarts. what they had to say, obviously, because I mean, you
Godric
probably
Gryffindor.
interact with the right. You probably interact with the, you know, the painting on a pretty regular basis as you move through the castle. But I would totally check the Pensieve and just be like, all right, what was
Yeah.
this dude really about? Like, how did this shit really go?
Well, especially like take Phineas Nigellus, total asshole in painting form and in real life form. I'd want to be watching his memories rather than listening to his stupid painting. He's
Right?
annoying.
I would find something embarrassing. I'd be like, you know that one time when you were a
You know,
dick?
Phineas, I got this on you, Phineas.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn you around. Why don't you face the wall for a while?
And this next bit comes from an interview J.K. Rowling did with TLC about how the Pensieve works. She was asked, do the memories stored in the Pensieve reflect reality or views of the person they belong to? She answers, it's reality. It's important that I have got that across because Slughorn gave Dumbledore this pathetic cut and paste memory. He didn't want to give the real thing, and he very obviously patched it up and cobbled it together. So what you remember is accurate in the Pensieve. Next question was, so there are things in there that you haven't noticed personally, but you can go and see yourself. The answer is yes, and that's the magic of the Pensieve. That's what brings it alive. Again, really cool.
That is really fucking cool.
The interviewer says, I want one of those, and Rowling says, yeah, otherwise it really would just be like a diary. It wouldn't confine to what you remember, but the Pensieve recreates a moment for you so you could go into your own memory and relive things that you didn't notice at the time. It's somewhere in your head, which I'm sure it is in all of our brains. I'm sure if you could access it, things that you don't know you remember are all in there somewhere.
Right.
So that's kind of cool.
Like, that is so fucking cool.
So last thing I wanted to talk about before we move on is how do you tamper with the memory like Slughorn did? There's, again, no factual canonical information on this, so we just got to kind of theorize. Do you have a theory?
Yes. I think so. You take Slughorn, who's a deeply flawed human being. Obviously, he's incredibly vain. He wants to be in tight with, the hot and bothered. Probably didn't get many girls throughout his life. Like, just judging from his personality as kind of a creepy older dude, probably did not come off very well to the females. So, when you have someone like that that's, like, damaged as shit, and who probably lies a shitload, I imagine they lie to themselves a shitload. And at some point, you begin to believe your own lies. And I think that's the only way to, change your memory of the situation. Because I think if you're, like, actively trying to forget about something, that would just cement it more in your mind.
Right.
But I think if you're literally, it's like chanting to
I don't
yourself.
know that you can make yourself forget, because the way Rowling explains it, it's even if you drunken something out of your mind, it's still in your brain. You just don't have the recall functionality behind it anymore, right?
But that's what I'm saying. If say you're a liar, and one of the most dangerous things about liars is when they believe their own lies, like legitimately.
George Costanza.
Right. So
it's not
if
a lie if you believe it.
Exactly. So I mean, if you have that mindset, something like that, that's the only way I could think of that you would be able to edit a memory, because then it's reality for you. Then it's fact.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. And the reality is still in there somewhere, but you've talked yourself into over years and years and years that it went differently than it actually did. And that's a little bit what I gathered. It also seemed like Slughorn just kind of made up the tampered memory in his mind. And then, so he played out this whole imaginary scenario in his mind and then extracted that instead of the actual memory and gave that to Dumbledore. And so the real memory's still in there because he extracted the fake memory. He just thought of the scenario and changed words in it, right?
Right.
And whatever suited him, and then that's a memory now. The fake memory is a memory. It's a real memory of a fake thing. So he could extract the real memory of the fake thing and give that to Dumbledore, and then he could go back and extract the real memory at a later date as he does.
That's a lot simpler than my
Whew.
convoluted explanation,
I
but I like
felt
it.
mine was convoluted. I thought yours was like, I just lied to himself until he believed it. That's a simpler explanation than he made a real memory of a fake memory of a real memory and then extracted it.
And then Cobb came in and spun a top and was like, yo, check this shit.
But the top isn't his totem. His wedding ring's a totem. Everybody knows that.
But dang. But, so, maybe that's kind of like a failsafe of the Pensieve to kind of make it obvious for tampered memories.
Yeah.
Because it seems obviously it can be done. We're not necessarily sure how it's done, but Dumbledore could obviously tell it was not legit. So, like, say you get a pair of, I don't know, Gucci Nikes for $35 at the corner store. They may look like it, but they're not it. And you know.
Yeah, you can definitely tell.
So I think that's kind of I'm guessing that's a similar situation.
So just a quick pause here. I've got a fantasy football draft starting in 10 minutes, and I've got the number 1 pick. Really excited about that. Shout out Colby Mack for putting the fantasy football league together yet again. So if I'm a little zoned out over the next like half hour of this episode, it's because I'm halfway in on a fantasy football draft. But the good thing about that is a long time between picks. So I might get the whole rest of the episode done before I get to my next pick.
There you go.
All right, so Nick, in your mind, why would someone use a Pensieve?
Well, I mean, I think we've touched on it pretty much, like, you know, store and review memories. And for me, it's like, think of a critical situation which you absolutely need to recall. And a visual representation like a memory in a Pensieve is much more powerful evidence than a human recollection could ever be, which, as we've touched on, is deeply flawed.
And there was a lot of debate about this on message boards and things as I was researching this, of why don't they just use memories as evidence in courts, right? And we don't know how permissible they are as evidence, or how easy it is for, like, if I want to go extract your memory because I arrested you, can I even do that? Or does the person have to extract their own memory and put it somewhere safe? And does the courtroom even have a Pensieve that they can look at? Can they put it up on the Jumbotron in the courtroom? Who knows?
It could be, you know, like amendments. You know, thou shalt not forcibly remove memories.
Yeah. Those are commandments, not amendments.
Like our government body amendments.
I know what an amendment is. But you were saying a commandment, like from the Bible.
No, I was saying an amendment from...
Anyway. I agree that you it gives you good perspective. Preserve memories, for one. Like, just boom, I had a great day, don't want to forget that, drop that in there, keep it. Dumbledore uses to help clear his mind. I really like that idea, that it just kind of empties your mind. And another place on the message board where there's a lot of disagreement of what actually happens to a memory when it's taken out. Do you lose the memory completely? Are you making a copy of the memory? Or can you simply remember that the thing happened but no details? In my mind, the way I think it is, that last one is like, you remember an event, but you don't remember any of the details that went with it. So there's extra space in your head now because you don't have to remember all those details. And so the memory becomes more of a blur in your mind, where you have this vague recollection of something happening, but you need to go to the Pensieve for a deeper look.
Right, you can move it to the back of the queue.
Exactly. And this is, like, I think that just the way Dumbledore and Snape used the Pensieve, it seemed like it was easy for them to get it out of their mind, but then they could go find it. So they knew what they took out of their mind to have to go find it, right? So they had to know, if you take the whole memory, then you don't even know what you're looking for anymore. Right?
That's a great point.
Here's an example. Let me just extrapolate on this example, and maybe that'll help the listeners at home follow better. Let's say you went to a football game and something happened there that was important in your life. Like, this is a very sad and deranged thing, but it was the first thing that came to mind. You're at the football game, your dad leaves and just never comes back. Okay? That's an important event in your life that you need to save that memory, because maybe you want to go back and see what happened to your dad, or maybe you just don't want to remember it anymore because your dad's an asshole and he left. So you remove them.
That's a shitty place to leave you.
Well, yeah. If you remove the memory, well, maybe your mom's there too. Okay? He didn't leave you all alone. So you remove that memory of the whole football game, you put it in the Pensieve. You would now remember that you went to a game and that's where your dad disappeared. But maybe none of the details would be there. Like, you don't know you can't remember who's playing, who won the game, where you sat, what your dad was wearing, like what he said he was doing when he left, if he said he was going to the bathroom or going to get a hot dog, whatever. You don't remember any of that. You just know football game, dad left. That's all you remember, so you can go to the Pensieve and get that.
I would
And
constantly go back looking because I feel like, what the fuck happened to my dad? You know, if you just have that vague,
exactly. And
it's
that
gotta be a
small
little more.
thought, you would go, okay, he left at this football game. Let me go check the Pensieve. John Madden's in there already because he was announcing that game. So that helps. And it would give you the ability to further inspect now, why did your dad leave? Did he get murdered? Did he just be like, fuck this kid, I'm out? What actually happened? That's
come to find.
That's why you would want to take that memory out.
He couldn't stand John Madden. Couldn't stand him. Listen
Sorry
to
for
him
the
announce
bleak
the game.
example there. Sorry if anyone's dad left them at a football game one day. Trigger warning, I suppose.
I really hope not. That'd be terrible.
Yeah. I agree. And it also seems like from the things that I read that you can simply remove painful memories and put them in the flask or let them go. Like you don't have to put them in the flask. You just fucking let them run wild if
Bye.
you really wanted to. So then you don't have to remember them anymore.
Yeah, I'd be game for that.
And like we said, the memory extraction spell, it's a difficult bit of magic. It probably takes a powerful wizard to perform one, or at least someone who's highly trained like the Makusa agents in Fantastic Beasts. I think a lot of these powerful wizards know better than to just dispose of memories. So there aren't just random ass memories floating around, you know?
Well, I'm sure they're politicians in that regard, you know.
Well, and you can't,
clean.
if you remove them and put them in a flask and put it in safekeeping, that could still be stolen. Even Dumbledore keeps his memory of what happened to his sister during the duel between himself and his brother and Grindelwald, but he can't bear to review it. He doesn't want to find out that he dealt the killing blow to Ariana, so he still has that memory, but he can't go back to it because he knows it would bring him pain. So they know, just be like, I can't forget fully these things, that because those shape who you are, and if you don't remember them, you're going to become this shell of a person that has no emotion behind them.
Yeah, no thanks.
You're going to be a Dementor, terrorizing Michael Scott.
They were Dementors.
All right, Nick, give us a notable character who used or owned a Pensieve in our story and throughout fake history. I think they all exist in the actual story, not... I couldn't find any fake history people other than, like, the Hogwarts one.
Right, I mean, Dumbledore... Did Snape technically own one, or did he share
didn't own it, but
Dumbledore's?
he used the Hogwarts one.
Okay.
So it's more who used it, not who owns it. I suppose.
So all the headmasters and headmistresses. Harry, he had a chance to use it at least, maybe not put his memories in there.
Yep.
And that's
so
about it.
Yeah, Dumbledore, Snape, Harry. I think those are all that really use it throughout our story that we see. So that bullet point didn't extrapolate as much as I wanted to when I made the outline.
I figured there would be more stuff.
Yeah, so did I. and there's not. But what we can do is we can go deeper on the actual Hogwarts Pensieve, because I got some research on that. It's made of ornately carved stone and is engraved with modified Saxon runes, which mark it as an artifact of immense antiquity that predates the creation of the school. Legend has it that the founders of the school found the Pensieve half buried in the ground. This was supposedly one of the reasons the school was located in such a remote location. Dumbledore and Harry used the Pensieve to review memories of a young Tom Riddle. Fuck you movies for leaving the bulk of these out. You'll never be forgiven that we don't see what made Tom Riddle into Voldemort. Not cool. Not cool movies.
Not tight, guy.
I'm just waiting for my Harry Potter Netflix series. Then it'll all be there.
Yo.
Snape used it to clear his mind before the occlumency lessons with Harry, and theoretically he may have used it to protect against Voldemort's own legilimency skills, and that kind of makes me go back to my previous point of how the memories are still kind of in your brain. You're not taking the whole memory out, because if Voldemort is such a skilled legilimens, and you could just take memories out and now somebody can't read that memory from your mind, then why isn't Snape just taking all this shit out about Lily, and then Voldemort can never take that from him? He has to use occlumency to protect his mind from Voldemort this whole time. You wouldn't need occlumency if you could just learn to take your memories out. So what's the point of having the occlumency lessons? Right?
Plot.
Yeah, plot. Or the other counter, because I like to argue with myself, the other counter that I thought of is it would be hard to remove everything in your brain that could be used against you. So, for instance, if Harry was trying to protect the Weasleys because he cared for them and didn't want Voldemort to know how much he cared for them, that's not just like a single memory you can pull out. That's his whole last 7 years of his life, that like he'd have to pull every instance of Ron and Ginny and, you know, the whole Weasley troop out of his brain somehow. And there's no way he'd be able to dig through and get everything he needed.
No, you just have to remove everything.
Yeah.
So then he'd just be walking around with amnesia, like, who, what?
Exactly.
What is this place called? Diagonally. What is this shit?
Harry also used it to view the Prince's Tale and Snape's first memory and learn how he must defeat Voldemort and what Snape was really up to and why. Like I said, we couldn't find any other people that are connected or that aren't connected to the Hogwarts Pensieve. And again, it's just weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it needs more stuff.
It's all just
Calvin,
fans speculating, putting puzzle pieces. I mean, I'll write fake history of it if you want me to. JK, I'm available.
Put it on your website.
Yeah. No. Not going to do full-on fan fiction there. If I do a fan fiction, I'm sending it directly to Suck My Fanfic for them to read.
There you go.
So, Nick, what are the potential dangers that you could see of using a Pensieve, if there are?
Well, mine immediately went to one thing, and it's like getting trapped within the loss of something. So my mind immediately goes to my daughter. If, say, I saved all my, I had all these memories to cling to, and if anything ever happened to her, and, that's the only way I could find myself dealing with the grief, I guess, is diving into that.
Lose yourself in the music, the moment.
Right. And I would just,
never ever let it go.
Probably not.
You only get one shot.
You're
not
fucking
Mr. Chance to
on
blow.
point, dude. You're seriously on point with that.
I like your idea. I didn't think of that. Of like you don't want to miss your loved one, and you just are boom transfixed, and you can't get away from it, and you wither away basically. Kind of like the Mirror of Erised, and how Dumbledore warned Harry of its powers. Of people get lost at their greatest desires. It's the same thing except reversed, right? It's not your greatest desire, it's what you're missing most at this point.
Or just like, I don't know, you're in a situation where you took a bad turn or something like that, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I would just get lost.
The negative impact I could think of is if someone other than the owner views your memories, if you don't protect your Pensieve, like Dumbledore just leaves that on the table. So somebody else comes along and looks at it, they could learn secret information or illuminate things you want to keep hidden. Dumbledore leaves his out, and maybe somebody else, Snape, not Snape because he's his buddy, one of the one of the Carrows comes in and sees that, oh, he is the one that dealt the killing blow to his sister, and then uses that against him.
Yeah, damaging information.
Yeah. So, if somebody has access to your memories and your Pensieve, they could very easily use that against you.
Yeah, they could fuck your life up.
They definitely could fuck it right the fuck up.
All right, Calvin with the burst of cursing.
So, how does the Pensieve fuck up everything in the Harry Potter story? Well, what does it affect in Harry Potter? We've already covered most of it.
We've kind of touched on some of it. It's affected it quite massively. When Barty Crouch Jr. is exposed, Slughorn's talks with Riddle, Snape's memories also, when he dies.
With Barty Crouch Jr., Harry also sees that Karkaroff was in fact a Death Eater and turned on Voldemort, which is important for Harry. It's not important for the story because everybody else already knew that.
Well, he had that confirmation because he saw Karkaroff and Snape, so he's just like, okay, that's confirmed. I'm not fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, he's always out to get Snape.
Yeah, fuck that guy, though. So, it had massive hinge points in the story. Like, I felt like it was almost like
figure out the Horcruxes.
Yeah, it's a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Shows him that the Marauders were kind of dicks, even though, he looks up to them. But, James and Sirius weren't always the best people. They were definitely dicks to Snape. And
probably dicks to a lot more than Snape.
Yeah. And, it shows Harry what Snape and Dumbledore have been preparing him for this whole time.
Right. He at least has an idea. You know, it's a little more just perspective.
Exactly. And perspective is important.
Gotta have it. Otherwise, you do dumb shit.
All right, so we're going to move outside of the story now and talk about the Pensieve in our lives. Let's start with Twitter. At APA something, we get polls up most weeks. If you had a Pensieve like in Harry Potter, how would you use it? The options were hide secrets, clear your mind, gain a different perspective, and other comments. Hide secrets got 8.1% of the votes. Clear your mind got 62.2% of the votes. A lot of podcasters needing to clear their mind apparently.
Stressful time, man.
And gaining a different perspective got 29.7% of the votes. And I just want to give a shout out to all these voters who didn't vote for hide secrets, because the Pensieve, as we've noted here, is a terrible way to hide secrets. Anybody could just take your secrets. Keep your secrets in your brain. Nobody can take them.
They're gonna take your secrets. They're gonna just barge in and take them. But yeah, I'm pleased with the results of that poll. Actually, it's very wholesome. I think.
Yeah.
It's just clear your mind. No secret.
Nobody would use it
here.
for nefarious means. I was really gearing up for some very nefarious things that I would have never thought of in the comments here. But the only comment we got was from the Strikes My Fancy podcast at Strikes Me Fancy. I love this question. I have a Harry Potter episode coming out this weekend, so check that out, I guess.
Yeah, check them out. I will listen to that episode. Thank you for commenting.
So Nick, that's our poll. Thank you for participating. Everyone who did, remember we do polls at APA something every Wednesday. Go check them out and vote on them and give comments for a shout out. You can also follow Nick at alone_podcast.
Yeah,
I got you. Don't worry.
Thanks, Dad.
So if you had a Pensieve, would you use it?
100%.
100%. Yeah. Very easy. I don't have any huge secrets that I need to keep hidden. And I could, as you know, pointed out on our Twitter poll, I could use a way to clear my mind a lot of time.
Yeah. Honestly, mine would be more leaning towards like perspective.
Mm-hmm. That's important. So yeah, what types of things would you try to preserve most, do you think?
First and foremost is my daughter. Like her, if y'all are about to have a kid or just had a kid, it goes so fast. Like that is just so very true.
And there's only so much you can capture in pictures and video.
Right. And there's only so much you can physically remember. And there's so much that I've forgotten about that I'll see a picture randomly and then it brings all those memories back. But I would love to, see things like right there. My dad, moments I've had with my wife, my adventures when I was a younger man, when I got into some wily shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just different things, life. It'd be interesting.
Wily.
What's that?
So I could see you being wily.
I was a pretty wily guy.
I don't know that I want to remember those things. Not the wily thing. All the other stuff, I'm with you. I agree. I'd want to preserve it of things I'm doing with my kids now, and then leaving that to them so they could kind of experience it through my eyes, and also just so I could review it as I get older. We take a lot of videos of the fun things we do, but watching a video is so much different, especially like most of the time I'm the one recording it, so I'm not in that memory if we're just watching the video of it.
Right.
So it would be cool to just go to Disney World and at the end of the day, boom, take that memory out, drop it in a flask, and then 2 years later when I'm like, oh man, what did we do at Disney World? I could just go watch it and see myself interacting with my kids there. Right now it feels like I miss some things because I'm behind the camera trying to video them and capture what they're doing that I don't get to. I have a good balance of like actually experiencing things and taking myself away and videoing them, but it would be nice to not have to do that at all.
Well, I mean, something that just came to me is like, in my family, Alzheimer's has there's a pretty rabid history. So there's a good chance I'm going to lose my fucking mind later in my life. And that would be the most valuable thing you could possibly do for someone like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is just, you have this resource of memories. Man, that would be fucking insane. There's got to be a therapy there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. For Alzheimer's patients, that'd be sweet. I have a very I don't, it doesn't run in my family, but I have like very vivid memories of dealing with people with Alzheimer's, or not me personally dealing with it, but just how it affects the people around whoever has it. when I was a kid, there was this group of twins that my mom coached volleyball for the high school, and I was not in high school. I was in elementary school, but those twins had a grandmother who had Alzheimer's, but she was always around because their family took care of her, and like it was just crazy to watch as like as a 10-year-old, and trying to like wrap my head around what was happening and why she was so, for lack of a better term, crazy, and like the things she would do. And then so like it's always been this thing I'm interested in to learn more about and help, just to learn more about and figure out why it happens and how it affects people, and to try and help other people who are dealing with somebody who's dealing with that to like do it in a way that is compassionate, rather than like, because it's very easy to lose your temper with somebody who can't remember anything.
Super, super easy to become resentful.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last 10 years of my grandmother's life, she didn't know my name. Like she didn't know. Yeah. She was there when I was born. Hard. She was there for, every Christmas throughout my childhood, and she didn't know who the fuck I was. So yeah, I mean, I can totally see where like a Pensieve would be probably one of the most, damn. Google, yeah. Are you listening? Yo, check this shit out.
Get John Madden's voice in there.
Just get someone soothing. Get Bob Ross's voice.
Well, yeah, we need a different Alzheimer's patient Pensieve and versus a football fan's Pensieve, right? We need the John Madden one for me, but for Nick's grandmother, we need like fucking, I don't know, Blanche from Golden Girls.
Jesus Christ, a Jesus Christ one.
Yes, do we know what his voice sounds like?
I love that. Joel Osteen.
Do you think?
Fuck that guy.
Yes, I agree. Do you think you would try to use the Pensieve to remember a lot of things from your childhood?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so either. There might be like 4 or 5 big moments that I would maybe stick in there, but the first 18 years, like I'm good just like having whatever fragments of memories I have.
Pretty much.
I would like to have it for work. I think it could help immensely with my workload, because I'm constantly like, I'll get to the end of the day and or someone will interrupt me in the middle of something, and I can't, like if I'm working on data or coding project, something like that, it's hard to like stop, pay attention to this other person, or like it's the end of the day, so I have to stop and leave, or just, it's the end of the day, I'm working at home now, so I just stop, go do something else. It's hard to break away from that and then pick up exactly where I left off. So it'd be really cool if like somebody barged in my door and was like, hey, and I'm like, okay, 1 second, just yank out everything I'm working on as a memory, drop it in a flask, do whatever the hell they need to do, and then come back, catch up, quick YouTube recap of whatever the fuck I was working on, and then I can jump right back in where I left off, and maybe even see some things that I might have missed of why I was stuck on this problem.
Yeah, that would be cool. You could come to a faster solution, an even better solution, but I have an odd question, and I don't know if you came across this, does it play out in real time? So like, say you're reviewing this memory, does it play out in real time?
What do you mean?
Well, say you watch a memory of you at the Bears game versus the Detroit Lions when they stomp their fucking ass, and it's 4.5 hours long. Does it take 4.5 hours to review the memory? Or is it literally like instantaneous in the real world? I would think
it would be however long you take out. So I wouldn't need, in this scenario, I wouldn't need the whole, if I'm working on this project for 3 hours, I wouldn't need that 3 hours. I just need like the last 20 minutes of it. The thing I might have a problem with is I don't talk while I'm working on these things. So if I'm watching a memory, am I just watching myself type on a computer for 20 minutes? Or would I have to, if I know I'm going to maybe need this later, all these data projects I'm doing, I'm going to have to talk out loud the whole time. So talking to my future self watching this memory. That's where I get confused.
That's where you gotta have the narrator. Yeah. John Ralphio.
Ron Howard?
Yeah! That'd be
I couldn't do John Ralphio.
I would have a ball.
I could do like one time John Ralphio. It was like back when Garmin GPSs were a thing that you put in your car because everything wasn't on your phone, and you could download all these different voice packages, and you could get like the T-Pain voice package.
Are you serious? They did that shit?
Oh yeah. And it was fun for like a day. And I was like, all right, T-Pain, you're on my fucking nerves. You could get Shaq, you could get T-Pain. Yeah. And this is when T-Pain was big. It was 2009, 2010. So prime T-Pain years.
I mean,
I had the
when he
Shaq
was
one, I had the
falling for
T-Pain
the
one,
stripper.
and they get annoying so fast. And you just go back to the British lady telling you to turn left.
You had Shaq? God,
Yep.
that was probably terrible. Turn left.
And then at the last use for it, I think in my life, as we discussed before, just keep track of all the arguments, bickering my wife and I have, so we could just go back and look at them objectively. I think we already covered that to death, though.
Pretty much.
Do we have anything else on a Pensieve or any memories that we need to review?
Google, get at us.
Yeah, we got a lot of great ideas to make this work properly.
For real. We can make this a money maker.
It is a moneymaker. Shake that moneymaker, Ludacris.
Shake that thing for me.
Shake that thing for me. Shake that for me. All right. Thank you for listening to a podcast about something. We will be back not next week. We have a week full of bonus episodes coming at you next week because I'll be on vacation next week, so we're not recording anything. So that following week, all bonus episodes from our Patreon. Get on that. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff. Do we have anything else? Twitter, at APA something, at alone_podcast, if we haven't said that already. Check out the website, podcastaboutSomething.com, where we're now putting blog posts, weekly NFL can't miss picks. The first weekend of football is come and gone by the time you're hearing this. You should have got on my picks because they were right. 3-0. Going to go ahead and call it. I don't know that I can do that.
I'm going to call 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You're pretty 50-50, my friend. But you
That's
should
probably
listen to it because you do have really good insights.
Yeah, so read those. I'm 3-0, I promise. We're recording this before any of the games happen, so we actually don't know what my record is.
Boom, 3-0, delete my shit.
All of the music for Podcast About Something is provided by those cats.
You guys stay sassy.
Stay classic.